Negative 13 degrees in Tampa, Florida this morning. Let me say that again. Negative 13. In Tampa. Is your city about to experience temperatures it hasn't seen in over a decade? Because right now, over 40 million Americans are under freeze warnings, and what's coming in the next 72 hours is going to make today look mild. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly when the coldest air arrives in your area, which cities are facing the most dangerous combination of conditions, and why meteorologists are watching 3 different forecast models that are telling us 3 completely different stories about next week. But I need something from you right now. Drop your city in the comments below. Seriously, do it now. Tomorrow's video is going to have personalized forecasts for every location you mention, and I am going through these comments one by one tonight to make sure your area gets covered. So pause for 5 seconds and type your city. Okay, here is what you need to know for the next 48 hours. Chicago, you will be waking up to 8 degrees tomorrow morning, not your high. Your morning temperature, 8 degrees. Indianapolis, you are right behind them at 11. Detroit, somehow you are the warmest of the Midwest metros at 14, but dawn to celebrate yet because we need to talk about what is happening this weekend. Minneapolis, you are looking at -4 tomorrow morning, and here's the concerning part, that is actually going to feel warm compared to Saturday. Des Moines, 0 degrees tomorrow, -6 on Saturday. Milwaukee, you are tracking nearly identical to Chicago, so everything I am about to say about them applies to you too. Now, the pattern we are dealing with is a split flow setup that is keeping Arctic air locked over the central United States, and what makes this particularly challenging to forecast is that we've got high pressure building over Hudson Bay while a secondary system is trying to develop along the Gulf Coast. The interaction between these two features is where the forecast models are starting to disagree, and I am going to walk you through those differences in a few minutes because they matter enormously for the second half of next week. But first, let's talk about today and tomorrow, because those are the days we can forecast with actual confidence. The core of the coldest air is sitting over the upper Midwest right now, and it's going to slowly migrate east over the next 36 hours. What's unusual about this particular Arctic outbreak is the depth of the cold. We are not just talking about surface temperatures. The entire atmospheric column is exceptionally cold, which means even with sunshine tomorrow, cities aren't going to warm up the way they normally would. Cleveland, you're going to hit 17 degrees for your high tomorrow. 17. That's your warmest point of the day, probably around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then temperatures are dropping right back down into the single digits tomorrow night. Pittsburgh, 18 degrees tomorrow, single digits tomorrow night. Columbus, you are nearly identical at 19 degrees, and I want you to pay attention to the wind tomorrow afternoon because that's going to make those temperatures feel significantly worse. Buffalo, here's where things get interesting for you. You are at 22 degrees tomorrow, which sounds better than everyone else I just mentioned, but you've got lake effect snow in your forecast, and we need to talk about that in a moment. Syracuse, you are at 21 degrees with the same lake effect concern. Rochester, 23 degrees, but again, watch for those snow bands developing off Lake Ontario. The Northeast Corridor is going to feel this Arctic push tomorrow night into Thursday. New York City, you are still holding at 32 degrees for tomorrow, but Thursday morning, you are waking up to 19. Boston, you are at 28 tomorrow, 16 on Thursday morning. Philadelphia, 31 tomorrow, 21 Thursday morning. The timing here matters because this is a work day, this is a school day, and a lot of the infrastructure along the East Coast isn't built for sustained temperatures in the teens and low 20s. Washington, D.C., you're looking at 34 tomorrow, dropping to 23 on Thursday. Richmond, 38 tomorrow, 26 Thursday. These might not sound extreme compared to what the Midwest is dealing with, but for your region, this is significant cold, especially when we talk about the duration. This isn't a one-day event. The cold is going to settle in and stay. Now, let me jump down to the south because this is where the temperature contrasts get really stark. And actually, hold on. Let me back up for a second. When I mentioned Tampa at -13 earlier, I need to clarify that. I was talking about the anomaly, how far below normal they were, not the actual temperature, though honestly, their actual temperature of 48 degrees is still shocking for Tampa in January. But the point stands. The South is dealing with cold that is very unusual for them. Atlanta, You are at 24 degrees tomorrow morning. 24. Your pipes are the concern here, Atlanta. Your infrastructure isn't designed for this. Nashville, 21 degrees tomorrow morning, and you are staying below freezing all day. Memphis, 19 degrees tomorrow, below freezing through Thursday. These are northern temperature profiles happening in southern cities. Birmingham, 26 degrees tomorrow morning. Montgomery, 30 degrees. Mobile, you are on the Gulf Coast at 34 degrees tomorrow, which sounds mild until you realize that it's only 2 degrees above freezing, and you've got northerly winds that are going to make it feel like the mid-20s. New Orleans, 36 tomorrow. And I know that doesn't sound bad, but stick with me because what's coming this weekend is a different story. Houston, you are at 38 degrees tomorrow morning. Dallas, 27, San Antonio, 35, Austin, 36. Texas, we need to talk about your weekend forecast in detail because there's a scenario, and I want to be really careful with my language here. There's a scenario where some of you could see winter precipitation. And when I say winter precipitation in Texas, I need you to understand what that means for your infrastructure. We'll get to that. Oklahoma City, you at 23 tomorrow morning. Tulsa, 25. Little Rock, 26. These are the transition zone cities where we re-watching closely for how far south the truly Arctic air penetrates versus where it moderates just enough to change precipitation types. Let me move west for a moment because while everyone is focused on the eastern two-thirds of the country, the west has its own situation developing. Denver, you're actually warming up. 38 degrees tomorrow, 42 on Thursday. You are on the warm side of this pattern, which is typical for this setup. Colorado Springs, similar story, 36 tomorrow, 40 Thursday. But here's what nobody is talking about yet. That high pressure over Hudson Bay I mentioned, it's going to retrograde, meaning move backward to the northwest early next week. If that happens, and this is where the models disagree, but if that happens, the West could see a significant pattern change by next Wednesday or Thursday. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, I am not giving you specifics yet because the uncertainty is too high, but I am watching this closely, and tomorrow's video will have updates if the models start converging on a solution. Speaking of model disagreement, let's talk about the weekend because this is where forecasting gets really challenging. The American GFS model is showing a weak disturbance moving through the south on Saturday into Sunday with mostly rain along the Gulf Coast. The European model shows something stronger, farther north, with a better chance of winter precipitation across parts of the mid-south. The Canadian model splits the difference but is faster with the timing. What this means practically is that if you were in Jackson, Mississippi, your Saturday could be rainy and 42 degrees, or it could be sleety and 33 degrees depending on which model is correct. Shreveport, Louisiana, same situation. You are right on the line. Little Rock, Arkansas, you are probably on the northern edge of whatever develops, which could mean freezing rain if things set up a certain way. And here's why this matters so much. The infrastructure concerns we talked about for the south, they get exponentially worse if we re-adding precipitation on top of the cold. Ice on roads that never see ice. Pipes that froze earlier in the week now dealing with added stress. Power lines weighted down by ice accumulation. I am not trying to scare anyone. I am trying to make sure you re-prepared if this scenario unfolds. But, and this is important, the models could be completely wrong. By tomorrow, we might have much better clarity. The overnight model runs are going to be critical, and that's exactly why I need you to come back tomorrow, because what I'm telling you today about the weekend will likely be different, hopefully more certain, by tomorrow afternoon. Let me get back to city-by-city forecasts. Louisville, 24 degrees tomorrow, and you are in that zone where the weekend system could bring you anything from rain to snow to ice. Cincinnati, 23 tomorrow, same uncertainty for the weekend. Lexington, 25 tomorrow, and Kentucky, you've dealt with ice storms before, you know how serious they can be, so stay tuned to updated forecasts. St. Louis, you are at 22 tomorrow morning, single digits tomorrow night, and your weekend is dependent on the track of that southern system I mentioned. Kansas City, 19 tomorrow, and you are far enough north that you are probably looking at all snow if that system materializes, but the question is how much? Charlotte, North Carolina, you are at 28 tomorrow. Raleigh, 29. Greensboro, 27. The Carolinas are in an interesting spot because you are cold enough for winter weather if the moisture shows up, but you are not seeing the extreme cold that is hitting farther north and west. Your bigger concern is Thursday night and Friday as another reinforcing shot of cold air moves through. Charleston, South Carolina, you are at 38 tomorrow. Savannah, Georgia, 41. Jacksonville, Florida, 46. The Florida cities are on the warm edge of this whole pattern, which makes sense given your latitude, but you are still dealing with temperatures well below normal, and your agricultural interests are watching this closely. Tampa, getting back to you, 52 tomorrow, 49 Thursday. Miami, you are at 68 tomorrow, which sounds amazing to everyone else I've mentioned, but even you are running cooler than average. Orlando, 58 tomorrow, and you're probably thinking this whole video doesn't apply to you, but watch what happens next week if that pattern shift occurs. Could be a very different story. Let me address the lake effect snow situation because Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Erie, Pennsylvania, this is significant for you. The Arctic air moving over the relatively warmer Great Lakes is generating intense snow bands. Buffalo, you could see an additional 8 to 14 inches through tomorrow night in the most persistent bands south of the city. Syracuse, 6 to 10 inches possible in the Tug Hill region. These are narrow bands, so your exact location matters enormously. 3 miles can be the difference between 2 inches and 12 inches. Erie, Pennsylvania, you are looking at 4 to 8 inches through tomorrow evening. Marquette, Michigan, you are on Lake Superior, different setup, but you could see 6 to 12 inches over the next 48 hours. These lake effect events are notoriously difficult to forecast precisely, so if you are in these zones, you need to be checking radar frequently, not just the forecast. Now, about 5 minutes ago, I asked you to drop your city in the comments. If you haven't done that yet, do it now. I am serious about going through these tonight for tomorrow's video. I want to make sure every single person watching gets a personalized forecast for their area, and the only way I know what areas to focus on is if you tell me. All right, let's talk about next week, and this is where the forecast gets really murky. I mentioned the high pressure system potentially retrograding. Let me explain what that could mean. If the high moves northwest back toward Alaska, it could open the door for Pacific moisture to start moving into the west coast by the middle of next week. Seattle, Portland, you to be looking at rain returning, potentially heavy at times. San Francisco, same story, rain chances increasing significantly. But here, the compound effect. If the west gets active with storms, that often means the east sees a pattern change too. The jet stream configuration that keeps you locked in cold and dry would break down. Now, I am not saying it definitely will. The GFS model shows this scenario. The European model keeps the cold locked in place longer. The Canadian model is somewhere in between. This is exactly the kind of forecast situation where I need another 24 to 48 hours of data before I can tell you with any confidence what's actually going to happen. What I can tell you is this. Monday and Tuesday of next week, the cold is going nowhere for the eastern two-thirds of the country. We might see slight moderation, meaning instead of highs in the teens, maybe you get into the low 20s, but you are still well below normal. Wednesday is when things could start to change. Emphasis on could. Detroit, your Monday high is looking like 21 degrees. Tuesday, 23. Wednesday, there's a chance you jump to 32 or you stay at 26. That's a huge spread, and it depends entirely on whether this pattern break happens. Grand Rapids, you retracking almost identical. Lansing, same thing, 20 to 22 Monday and Tuesday, then a big question mark Wednesday. Chicago Monday, you are at 19, Tuesday at 22, Wednesday anywhere from 28 to 35 depending on the pattern evolution. That's not me being vague, that's just honest forecasting at the 6 to 7 day range. The uncertainty is real. Indianapolis, Monday at 22, Tuesday at 24. Cleveland, Monday at 23, Tuesday at 26. These are your likely scenarios through Tuesday, then Wednesday gets fuzzy. Down south, Atlanta, you re-looking at Monday in the low 40s, Tuesday mid-40s, which is going to feel like a heat wave compared to what you re-experiencing now. Nashville, upper 30s Monday, low 40s Tuesday. Memphis, similar, upper 30s to low 40s. But if that southern system I mentioned for the weekend materializes and tracks a certain way, we could be talking about a much different Monday for some of you. This is why the weekend forecast is so crucial, because it sets up what happens early next week. New York City, your Monday is looking like 30 degrees, Tuesday at 32. Boston, Monday at 27, Tuesday at 29. Still cold, but not the extreme cold you're seeing Thursday and Friday. Philadelphia, Monday at 31, Tuesday at 34. You are slowly moderating, but it's a slow process. Baltimore, 32, Monday 35, Tuesday. DC, 35 Monday, 38 Tuesday. Richmond, 37 Monday, 40 Tuesday. You are in the faster moderation zone because you farther south. Let me jump to some cities I haven't hit yet. Salt Lake City, you at 32 tomorrow, 35 Thursday. You are in a pretty stable pattern. Cold mornings, mild afternoons, not seeing the extreme swings other regions are experiencing. Boise, similar story, 38 tomorrow, 41 Thursday. Phoenix, you are at 62 tomorrow, Tucson 65. The Southwest is completely disconnected from this Arctic pattern, which is typical. Las Vegas, 61 tomorrow. These temperatures sound amazing, but you're actually a bit below your seasonal averages too. Los Angeles, 68 tomorrow. San Diego, 67. You're running near normal, maybe a touch cool. The marine layer has been persistent, keeping temperatures from really warming up even with sunshine. Sacramento, 54 tomorrow. Fresno, 56. The Central Valley is cool and foggy, pretty typical for this time of year. San Jose, 62 tomorrow. San Francisco, 59. Albuquerque, 45 tomorrow. El Paso, 53. You are in that transition zone between the cold air to the east and the milder Pacific air to the west. Omaha, you're at 18 tomorrow. Sioux Falls, 14. Fargo, -2. The northern plains are brutally cold, and it's going to stay that way through at least the middle of next week. Bismarck, -6 tomorrow. These are dangerous temperatures, especially with any wind. Frostbite can occur in minutes. Rapid City, 28 tomorrow. Billings, 32. You are on the western edge of the Arctic air, so you are not seeing the extreme cold, but you're still below normal. Let me talk about wind for a moment, because this is a factor that doesn't always get enough attention. When you combine these low temperatures with even modest wind speeds, the wind chill becomes dangerous. Minneapolis, your wind chill tomorrow morning is going to be around -20. That's not just uncomfortable. That's dangerous if you outside for more than a few minutes. Chicago, wind chill around -5 to -10 tomorrow morning. Detroit, similar, -5 to -8. These are the feels-like temperatures, and they matter for anyone who has to be outside. Whether for work, waiting for a bus, walking to their car. Buffalo, your wind is going to be the key factor for lake-effect snow production. Winds off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario are going to be sustained at 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts higher. That's what is driving those intense snow bands. Now, one thing I want to address, because I know some of you are thinking it, is whether this cold means anything for climate trends. And the short answer is no. Individual weather events, even extreme ones, don't tell us anything meaningful about long-term climate patterns. We re-experiencing a specific meteorological setup that has brought Arctic air south. This happens periodically. It's weather, not climate. I mention this because there's often confusion, and I want to be clear about the distinction. What this event does tell us is that our infrastructure in many southern cities isn't designed for sustained hard freezes, and that is worth thinking about for future planning, but that is a different conversation. Let me get to some more cities. Green Bay, 16 tomorrow. Madison, 17. Rockford, Illinois, 15. Peoria, 18. Springfield, Illinois, 20. You are all in the core of the cold air mass, and you are all going to stay there through the weekend. Cedar Rapids, 17 tomorrow. Davenport, 19. These eastern Iowa cities are in the same boat as the Illinois cities I just mentioned. Wichita, you're at 26 tomorrow. Not as extreme as farther north, but still well below freezing all day. Topeka, 24 tomorrow. Springfield, Missouri, 27 tomorrow. Columbia, Missouri, 25. You are in that zone where the weekend system could bring interesting weather, and by interesting I mean potentially problematic if we re-talking about ice. Chattanooga, 29 tomorrow. Knoxville, 27. The Tennessee cities are uniformly cold, and your elevation changes mean some areas could see winter precipitation this weekend even if the valleys stay all rain. Huntsville, Alabama, 27 tomorrow. You've got enough elevation that winter weather is always a possibility when you get cold enough, and you are definitely cold enough. Pensacola, 37 tomorrow. Tallahassee, 34. The Florida Panhandle is borderline freezing, which is a big deal for that region. Baton Rouge, 37 tomorrow. Lafayette, Louisiana, 38. You are just above freezing, but not by much. Corpus Christi, 41 tomorrow. Brownsville, 48. The deep South Texas cities are the mildest on the Gulf Coast, but even you are cooler than normal. Let me shift gears and talk about what happens if you lose power during extreme cold like this. It's a real concern, especially in areas not accustomed to these temperatures. Pipes can freeze in just a few hours without heat. If you in any of the areas I've mentioned with temperatures in the 20s or below, Make sure you know where your water shutoff is. Keep cabinet doors open under sinks to allow warmer air to circulate around pipes, and let faucets drip slightly if you are really concerned. I'm not trying to be alarmist, but I've seen too many burst pipe situations in southern cities during cold snaps because people didn't realize how quickly it can happen when your home isn't insulated for extreme cold. Roanoke, Virginia, 26 tomorrow. Greensboro, North Carolina, we covered you earlier, but let me add, watch for black ice Thursday morning. Any moisture on the roads is going to freeze overnight Wednesday. Winston-Salem, 28 tomorrow, same black ice concern. Columbia, South Carolina, 32 tomorrow. That's right at freezing, so any precipitation is going to be a headache. Greenville, South Carolina, 30 tomorrow, and you are in the foothills, so elevation matters for you. Augusta, Georgia, 33 tomorrow. Macon, 34. You are hovering right around freezing, which is the worst temperature for precipitation because you never know quite what you are going to get. Wilmington, North Carolina, 35 tomorrow. Fayetteville, North Carolina, 31. The eastern North Carolina cities are cold, but not as extreme as the Piedmont. Norfolk, Virginia, 32 tomorrow. Virginia Beach, 33. Hampton Roads is right at freezing. Newport News, 32 as well. Let me talk about the Great Lakes beyond just the snow. The lakes themselves are warmer than the air above them by a significant margin. Lake Erie is around 38 degrees right now. The air above it is in the single digits to low teens. That 25 to 30 degree temperature difference is massive, and it is what drives the lake effect machine. As long as that temperature gradient exists, snow is going to be possible downwind of the lakes. What is interesting about this particular event is that all 5 Great Lakes are contributing to snow somewhere. Lake Superior is firing bands into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Lake Michigan is sending snow into western Michigan. Lake Huron is affecting parts of Michigan's thumb. Lake Erie is hitting Buffalo and Erie. Lake Ontario is targeting Syracuse and Oswego. It is a complete Great Lakes snow event. Traverse City, Michigan, you are seeing this from Lake Michigan, 6 to 10 inches possible through tomorrow. Gaylord, Michigan, similar totals. Petoskey, Erie on the northern end of Lake Michigan, S effect, 4 to 8 inches likely. South Bend, Indiana, Erie on Lake Michigan's southeastern shore. 4 to 6 inches possible, but it's going to be hit or miss depending on exact band placement. Kalamazoo, 3 to 6 inches. Now, here's the thing about lake effect snow that makes it so challenging. The bands are often only 10 to 20 miles wide, but they can produce intense snowfall rates within that narrow zone. 2 to 3 inches per hour is possible in the heaviest bands, so if you read directly under a band, you could get buried. If you read 5 miles away, you might only see flurries. This is why I always tell people in lake effect zones to watch radar, not just the forecast. The forecast gives you the general idea, but radar shows you where the bands actually are. All right, we at about the 23-minute mark, and I want to circle back to comments one more time. If you've watched this far and you haven't dropped your city yet, please do it. I genuinely want to help you prepare for what's coming, and the way I can do that is by addressing your specific area in tomorrow's video. The comments section is how we make this interactive, how we make sure nobody gets left out of the forecast. Let me give you the bottom line for the next week. Thursday and Friday are the coldest days for most of the East. The weekend brings uncertainty, particularly for the South where a system might develop. Monday and Tuesday next week stay cold, but moderate slightly. Wednesday and beyond, huge question marks depending on whether this pattern breaks. The honest truth is, beyond about Wednesday of next week, I can give you a forecast with any real confidence. The models are all over the place. Could we see a major warm-up? Yes. Could we stay locked in cold? Yes. Could we see active weather return to multiple regions? Yes. I need more data, and I'll have that data by tomorrow. What I'm asking from you is simple. Come back tomorrow. The overnight model runs will give us clarity on the weekend system. The extended models will start to converge, hopefully, on what next week looks like. I am going to have updated temperatures for every major city, new snow forecasts for the lake effect zones, and hopefully a much clearer picture of whether that pattern shift is real or not. Weather forecasting is a continually evolving science. What I'm telling you today is the best available information as of this afternoon. Tomorrow it will be better. That's how this works. That's why daily updates matter during active weather patterns. I appreciate every single one of you who watches these videos. I know 25 minutes is a long time to spend on weather, but when we dealing with potentially dangerous cold and uncertain precipitation scenarios, I'd rather give you too much information than too little. You can always skip ahead if your city has already been covered, but I want to make sure everyone finds what they need. Tomorrow's video will be up by 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, noon Pacific. Same format, same detail, updated information. I'll be looking for your comments tonight, making notes, making sure your area gets covered. Stay